Singapore squad of Invictus will go up in their next bout against TSM. That's what's up next here in the Mego 6 major coverage. It should be a very exciting affair, but there is one big caveat to it. TSM lost their first game of the day, so there is a lot on the line for them here. This is not going to be an easy road for Invictus. Let's have a look at the two beautiful boys that will be joining me for this series though. Tim, Des, welcome back. I hope you're ready, and I hope you've cooled off enough after that last game to get us through these next two.
Just had a bit of a breather.
Ever so slightly. But then we've also just caught the end of the game on the A stream, which was an absolute 15-round sweatbox as well. The NA have also lost, by the way. So, NA and overtime, not currently a good pairing, Jackie.
Yeah, it's not looking good. At least we've got an NA side here that could potentially redeem them, and they're going to need to, right? Obviously, for Invictus, already they're going into a very, very tough group. Now they've got an even bigger bounty on their heads because everyone's suffering L's all across the board. TSM, they can't afford another one, can they, Tim?
Well, there's two ways of looking at it, isn't there? Initially, Liquid come in, they beat TSM, they beat Empire, and you think, well, Invictus's day didn't get any easier, did it? Because now TSM and Empire both need wins. But at the same time, you look at what's just happened and you think, you know what? Anybody can get wins here, so maybe Invictus can too. Maybe they come in, really surprise us, and one of the big dogs, TSM or Empire, take 2 L's on the first day.
Imagine.
Maybe both of them do.
I love it.
The world's not ready for that kind of timeline. Not yet.
No, absolutely not. You can see the passion finally. It's getting through as well. So many Brazilian wins back to back. Tim's gone. He's on another planet.
All I needed.
Oh, it's turned up the whole stream. Let's have a look at Invictus first, though, to start this off, right? Obviously, we haven't seen them today. It's their debut here on the B stream, and it's a hell of a game to open up with. In terms of talking points for Invictus, what should we be looking at? Where's the wow factor?
I mean, I guess realistically for these boys, many probably won't be super familiar with them. They were known previously as Giants, now picked up by Invictus. There's been a lot going on in APAC South over the last few months. If you watched any APAC North last year, you would have seen them constantly jostling for first place alongside Cloud9, who, as we saw earlier on today, were also released, unfortunately. So a big change for these two teams who were so massive last year. Asterix, back when I came into APAC North, didn't know tons about any of these players, but Asterix was the standout player, out-and-out gunner, real possibility to have huge impact. But the one player that's new that many won't recognize from before is Joe. He's replaced a player that's formerly known as Ysera. He's retired now, so it is a new change to their roster. I believe Joe has always been their support player. Otherwise, it is much the same roster that those who have watched Aero, Wolf, or Giants before will know and love. So I think there's a lot to look forward to. They are one of the stronger teams coming out of APAC, but I think the problem is, like many others, they're still trying to kind of find their place in a way, figure themselves out a little bit more before they're really ready to come and challenge on the big stage.
Now, one of the players that we do want to give a little bit of love towards as well is Speakeasy. We've got some highlights prepared here because this man has been a walking reel of explosivity. Tim, why should we be excited to see Speakeasy tonight?
He's just one of those special players, this Speakeasy. We've seen it a number of times from him over the years. He, as you're seeing on screen now, just makes things happen. He's a catalyst. He'll go in there and he'll get those kills when you need them. He'll have that impact and really drive his team forward. He's just another one of those talismans that you know that you can look towards.
You need that factor. Sometimes you need the extra bit of oomph behind you. And I know that's exactly what TSM are really going to be needing in this series as well. As we've already mentioned, right? It's no secret. They lost their opening game. It was a bit of a struggle for them. They at least took Liquid close. Had a great start, but tapered off towards the end. We've already seen how they're starting to bond as well, of course, with the change coming in for their 5th man for this event. But Des, what's the change here? Coming in, do you think just the change of pace, different caliber of team, obviously with the opposition, that they should be able to get into this game, have a bit of an easier feat? Or do you think they still really need to step up based on what we saw previously?
I think there's still a bit of work to do, as we were all aware, right? You're coming in playing with a slightly revised roster. There's going to be a couple of tweaks that you need to work out as you go along. And to be honest, they started out really strong earlier on. Let's not forget, after 4 rounds, they were 3-1 up against Liquid. But the key word in that sentence is the last one, Liquid. Nesk went absolutely nuclear in the second half. TSM didn't strictly do anything wrong. Nesk was just hitting shots like an absolute fiend, and no one really could have had a response to that. It happens sometimes. I think against IG, you're not going to have a player going absolutely nuclear like Nesk was, like Palu was. So this should be a bit of an easier time for them. And I think a good place to really wet their teeth in Mexico here and get a feel for what's to come throughout the rest of the play days in groups and potentially going into playoffs.
Does that raise the talking point then, Tim, that we're looking at the fact here that TSM, when it comes down to it, should operate as the better full 5-man team? Obviously, with the factors they have going into it in terms of preparation, what we know for the known quantities, that they should just operate better as a unit compared to Invictus?
I think it's fair to say that, yeah. As I really wanted to stress this earlier, and the point I picked up on is the fact that poor Joe Man works with this team anyway. It's not some, as Des put it, random. What did you say, Des? Was it Randy Andy, Random Andy? Like, it's,
I don't remember saying those words, but yeah, for the laugh, let's say I did.
It's not somebody who they've just picked up off the street. Pojo Man knows the team inside and out, knows the strats inside and out, and so yes, it's still coming in, and you're still talking about a very high level of function from a 5-man team, and I just think that is going to be very difficult for Invictus to break down.
Well, someone that definitely isn't a Randy Andy Mandy is Geometrics, of course, from the side of TSM. Des, Geo on the server, are we expected to see him just going absolutely off?
Yeah, I think a little bit, to be fair. The only Mexican player here at the Mexico Major, so go figure. It almost lines up a bit too perfectly, right? And where historically he plays the flex role for TSM, with Charla and Pojoman both in the same squad. I've just been attacked by a moth. I have no idea what's going on in my room right now.
How big was it?
What are we talking
my
here?
left eye. I couldn't see it because it stabbed me in the eye. I don't know what's going on.
Stabbed by a moth?
A moth with a weapon?
How did it carry the knife?
I don't know. It was magic. I don't know.
It's a really weird Harry Potter spin-off.
But no, as a final point about Gio, yeah, he's moved to playing on the more supportive role in this lineup at the minute. He's not playing the flex one anymore. That last game earlier on, I don't know, I wasn't really too sold on it, to be fair. Maybe there's a couple of changes, other things to test around, but I think you'll see him staying in that supportive role. Here should have a bit more room to do his job, I think, so that's what I think we've all got to look forward to. How much work can he do from the support role? Unfortunately, it's not always the most visible, but you'll see it in the team play. I think the information that he's bringing along, how hard he can hold down F when it comes to getting on site, time will tell.
Man, we'll see if he's going to be able to do some damage to Invictus, if he'll do his best moth with a knife cosplay in the match. Hopefully, we'll get to see some of that action. But for what it is, I think this will be a really nice benchmark game at the very least to see how Invictus are going to go head-to-head here, right? Back on LAN, Mexico City. We haven't had these regional differences in so long due to COVID, so it's so sick when we get these opportunities. Just a quick one whilst we're back on cam. Is he gone? Has the moth disappeared?
He's hiding with a knife somewhere. I just don't know where he is. That's what I'm trying to figure out now.
It's like Michael Myers back on Modern Warfare 2.
Oh, mate.
I love how stressed Des looks about this.
I just saw like the pan around the room. I was like, he must still be there.
I didn't even see it in the room, and then just suddenly, and I was like, what the hell is going on? As I was halfway through talking about Geo, I was like, what, does the moth just really not like the word Geo or something? It was well weird.
Apparently. It's like when you say Beetlejuice 3 times. If you say Geo 3 times, a moth just turns up and stabs you.
With a knife as well at that, yeah. Deadly moths
really
these days.
Knife.
Getting a bit Larry these days, yeah.
Funnily enough, like moths look like they've got dust on them and they're really dusty.
Yeah.
That's not actually dust, that's their scales. They're just really scaly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what like the pile of ash that's left behind when you kill them off is just their scales.
I see.
There you go.
See, we already had a good chat about wasps and hornets earlier on today, so now we're getting really into all kinds of flying insects, aren't we? This is great. I feel like I'm really learning something, Jackie.
That's what this is. The B stands for bestiary because we teach you all about different animals. That's what we do.
I wonder where you were going with that, but that was a good one. Fair play.
Not that way. That's not the same. But hopefully we should see some beastly plays, of course, when we do finally get back into the action with this one. We're just remedying some issues behind the scenes, then we'll kick this game off once we can step into our veto as well. I'll be excited to see where this goes for a best of one. We've been spoiled with the maps, honestly, boys. A lot of variety, Tim.
We have so far, yeah, absolutely. We've had a bit of villa, bit of cafe, bit of coastline. We've just sort of really mixed it up a bit. The thing is, they're very different types of maps as well. You look at coastline versus villa, you get a very different brand of siege on both. So, yeah, we've been absolutely spoiled so far. I would like to see, I'll be honest, coming in here now, I'd like to see one of the regulars now. Give me a clubhouse, give me an Oregon. I'd like a bit of that as well.
Ooh, a little bit
Yeah.
of Oregon would go down a treat, wouldn't it? Then?
Yeah.
I'd take a Chalet, to be honest, mate. I've got to think.
Let's
It's
love
like,
Chalet.
I've got a thing for Chalet, right? It's like when you've gone so many hours without a coffee and all you really want is a coffee just to perk you back up again. I'm getting like that now about Chalet, where I've casted so many maps that aren't Chalet. There's a bit of a problem on the go. I need to see Chalet tonight, or I can't sleep properly. It's a problem.
You're a Chalet fiend. You need it. It's just...
I am, mate. I don't know what it is. I just really like the map.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's the snow maps, you know, quite peaceful. They lower your stress levels. It could be that. That's probably a scientific paper somewhere. Citation needed. Don't quote me. Real? Not real. That's the question. But this is real. The day is real, and the day is really getting started. We still have 2 games, of course, left to go. Both of them featuring Invictus as the main squad that we're going head-to-head in the next 2 games. TSM first. After this, they also have to face Empire, no matter what the result is, Tim.
They do, and it's not going to be an easy pair of games. We always knew they were in a difficult group coming into it. Group D's been called the group of death. That's what the D stands for. You've got Liquid, you've got TSM, Invictus, and Empire. You know, Invictus must have been looking at that thinking, wow, this is a challenge. But at the same time, there's no expectation there for them, really. You know, I'm sure they're going to want to come in and put good performances in. They're going to want to take points. Of course they are. But there's no big expectation. If Empire beat you, you're going to be like, oh, okay, Empire beat Invictus. It's not like this big upset result. So from that perspective, I think that makes Invictus quite dangerous as well, because they can sort of play without a lot of that pressure.
I think that is the thing, right? Because obviously there's 2 ways to look at it. You see sometimes where teams do buckle if they feel like there's a lot on them. Sometimes they feel like they can just let themselves off the leash. You know that you're in a rough group. You know that you're going into a position where the other teams really need those wins. So they do need to come out swinging. Looks like we have the map vetoes ready, though, for their first game here. Invictus versus TSM. Let's see where they're going to be taking us, Tim.
Ooh, it's going to be a fascinating one. Well, we know that Des wants a bit of Chalet. I'm looking for a bit of Clubhouse or Oregon. We'll probably get neither, and we'll maybe get thrown in with... I mean, you know me, I always love seeing a bit of Consulate, so that's not the end of the world either. Where do they want to go? I think Invictus keep this simple, and it doesn't surprise me that they've taken Chalet away. It's still a pretty new map. There's a lot being figured out. Des is in bits. He'll be all right. He'll recover by the time we get into the game. Don't worry.
I'll come round. I'll drop off a little picture of Chalet. You can just look at it in between rounds. It'll be fine.
I think for me, Invictus just want to keep this simple here.
I think a Clubhouse would actually do really well, to be honest with you, for the side of IG. It was a really old popular map of theirs, stage 1 of APAC North. They played it 7 of their 9 games, won every single one. I know that TSM also quite like Clubhouse, quite a structured map. So I think I'm with you, Ace. I'd like something like a club. I'm glad that Coastline's off. I've had my bit of like... It's like you have too much dessert in a day and it kind of spoils your whole 3-course meal because you're just a bit too full. I'm glad that we had 1 game of Coastline. That's all I really need to see, though, to be honest.
There's no way you'd get 2 in a day.
Yeah, where are these desserts fitting in?
You know what I found out about 2 years ago that shook me and still does to this day? Some people condition their hair before they shampoo it.
What?
I do that.
Tim will know nothing about this. Shut up, Tim.
All right. Oh, that was good. I like that. Sorry, you've made me snort, Tim.
Oh, it's Villa again.
Here we are. We're back on Villa, boys. The chaos has kicked in. All right, then. Villa, TSM, Invictus. There's a nice bathroom on that map, Tim. I'm sure you could do your hair there.
I'm sure there is. There's plenty of mirrors knocking about on Villa. I'm sure I could sort my parting out. It's the ponytail that needs work, Jackie. You've seen the ponytail that's in the back. Stream don't get to see this, but I do tease it sometimes.
Go on, Tim.
We're gonna have to cut it there. We can't let that happen. No. That's not allowed. Tim, keep your secrets. Des, enjoy this one. Boys, Villa, get into it. Enjoy it. I'll see you after.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that was an eventful pre-desk, wasn't it, Ace? Bloody hell, a bit of ponytail teasing, talking about moss with knives, had a good talk about maps and desserts and main courses. We're getting to that time of the night. In the UK right now, it's 20 to 11. Things get a little bit delirious, but that's part of the fun. You have to bear with us on that one. Villa, though, Tim, what are we saying?
I think this is going to suit TSM down to the ground, if I'm honest. They've already been there once today. I think it's a technical map. I just think it'll suit them better than it'll suit Invictus. They could prove me wrong, but I think TSM probably lock this one down.
I know for the longest time it was one of the main maps of TSM. For Invictus, I don't recall them having a big history on this map. Admittedly, haven't watched any APAC South recently, so we'll give it that much. Let's see how things play out, though. As we kick things off, we are into game. Invictus starting things off on attack. That, when I see that, just makes me even more nervous that it could be a bit of a roll.
Hopefully that's not what we're going to see. We always like it to be competitive. I mean, coming into that last matchup, we thought that could potentially be the case, but Furia, they surprised us, and they came in and managed to get the win. Is that going to be the case for Invictus? You know, we did paint the possibility of a timeline beforehand where Invictus come in and take 2 wins. TSM and Empire both sat there on 0 each after the first day. I'm not sure that that's what we're going to see, but never write it off. At the end of the day, there's 2 teams in the server. There's 2 teams that can win the game.
These NA teams today love banning Thatcher. I know it's a very common ban, but it's always been the NA teams that have banned it away, right? Looking back in the last one, SSG banned it on Coastline. The earlier map when TSM played, they banned it away against Liquid on Villa. In the first game of the day on Cafe, SSG banned it away against Na'Vi. And I'm just curious, really curious as to whether it's NA teams that are that afraid to have Thatcher open because they rely so much on utility for a very structured defense or what. But it's becoming quite a theme.
It is, and the problem is that teams will then lean into that, and they'll think, you know, we're playing against TSM, we're playing against Dark Zero, you know, and they'll think about that, and they'll think, well, we don't need to take the Thatcher ban, so we'll take the one that we want, and then we know that Thatcher will get banned out anyway. And so teams might just lean into that a little bit. So you sort of think there's almost a point in time where one of them just needs to go, you know what, we'll play with Thatcher then, and we'll see what happens. But it's just a bit of a risk at this sort of stage of a tournament.
Alrighty, round number 1. IG hovering over that line, at least to begin with. I thought we might see a bit of Monty being picked out as kind of their go-to old-time classic. Luna used to be the go-to Monty main for this team. Did stop playing it for the longest time, and I think they were keen to wean him off playing it and getting on more gun-heavy operators rather than just relying super heavy on the Monty. 6 pick away here onto the Nomad, looking potentially to inhibit the roam potential coming out of TSM. But that one ban that's made it through that makes me a little bit nervous for Invictus, Tim, is going to be that Valkyrie.
It is, you know, having the Valkyrie on board, there's a reason that Valkyrie gets banned out so much, and it's just the level of information that she's going to bring. It's going to be very important for Invictus to be finding those cams and taking them out. And the problem with that on Villa, you've just seen 2 of the cams that achieved us thrown every time into the rafters, and there's a reason for that, because they're difficult to find.
5 seconds remaining.
They're hidden. It's not like you've got a smooth surface. It's not like you've got a smooth ceiling where it really stands out. You've got it in behind a beam, so you've then got to be checking in behind each beam. I just nearly choked myself. It's fine.
Mate,
I've got to check in behind each
attacked
one.
by a moth with a knife, you can, you know, blink twice and tell us.
And the problem is with that you're taking your eye off the doorway, for example. So there's one in study, and you're going to be turning yourself away, and it's a problem.
You know what I realised? We don't really have a protocol as casters that's ever agreed if someone starts choking what the other one should do.
I mean, usually, Des, you'd take over, but, you know, you were more than happy to just listen.
No, I was happy to kind of bury you in it and say, oh, go on, mate, carry on talking while you're choking to death, you know, like you're able to breathe, so on and so forth. I'm just that kind of person, mate. I'm sorry.
You'll be glad to know I'm
By the way-
recovered. I'm recovered now.
All right, mate, you're good. You're back with us. Tim is still in the building, ladies and gents. That's the most important part. Speaking of all this choking, though, let's see if TSM can not pull off an NA and go for a big choke. That's one way to start it. I say it and I curse it. Speakeasy with a 2K running inside. What? How? What?
Well, that shows you where speed will get you sometimes. Just absolutely catching TSM out there. Bolo and Geo, we've seen them multiple times there. We saw them in that position, and you've got to wonder, did Invictus watch the game earlier today? I'm certain that they did. They knew they were going to be playing TSM. Did they watch the game against Liquid? Because Geo and Bolo played in that position every single time. When they were defending Aviator game, they started in Trophy, in Statuary. They even started on the same sides. And Invictus have just completely taken full advantage of that knowledge and gone in there and taken them apart.
Ooh, okay. Let's I like explosive starts, and if Invictus is going to do anything, it's going to be explosive. It's going to be surprising, which I love. Alrighty. As it stands, TSM in this 3 versus 5 are down in numbers. However, look at the drones on the side of Invictus. They are slowly starting to run out of those, and we know how much we love speaking about teams and their information gathering side of the game. You start running out of that, it gives room for the defenders to start making a couple of cheeky plays here and there, which can catch you off guard and potentially shut things down. You've got Asterix playing off on the south side, everyone else stacking up towards the north. Bojo looking to challenge his way up 90, loses the gunfight to Luna. A second one goes the way, almost a third, but no, will stay as a 2k achieved. Has now got it all to do. He's in a 1 versus 5, and Speakeasy collects the 3k. What a great first round coming out of IG.
Well, we spoke coming into this one about the possibility of upsets from Invictus, and they may seem unlikely, but you just don't know. We've said this, there's not been a lot of international siege, so playing against that APAC style is something that these teams really have not done for a long time. Coming in, there may just be differences. There may be things that Invictus can take advantage of there. But as I said, that first round screams of prior knowledge, prior information. That is having watched the game and thinking, we're going to punish them for that. You won't get away with it again. TSM won't let that happen again. And if you try it, they'll probably punish you because they're going to be watching those angles. But what a great... And that's experience, Des. That's Speakeasy coming in and showing just how many hours he's got inside of this game.
Oof, I mean, fair enough. I mean, Speakeasy's definitely steps up there. The first couple of kills, you'd say, okay, they were quite a bit of a freebie. That next one, though, coming in from Aviator, was being challenged by Achieve, and still hit the shot. On the other side, Luna getting a 2k down 90. Massive start coming out from Invictus and showing they're not going to be any rollovers. Now, I imagine the TSM camper is saying, look, for now, write it off, forget about it, focus on the next round, get our mental back in gear, let's go. Because like you said before this game even started, imagine if Invictus come in and beat TSM or beat Empire, or even better yet, both of them, this group is suddenly turned completely upside down. I don't think a single person predicted Invictus to get out of this group.
I don't think they did, and I think, you know, with TSM, Empire and Liquid in there, it's absolutely nothing against Invictus. I'd love to see them come in and get wins, but, you know, I can't, looking at the results of those 3 teams over their, you know, respective regional seasons, I can't come in there and say, you know, yeah, Invictus are likely to knock Liquid out. You know, it's just unlikely, but that's the point of International Siege at the minute. That's the level of competition that we're reaching, that we're working to. It doesn't matter where the teams are coming from. It doesn't matter who is playing on which roster. They are coming in competitively. They're here to win games, and Invictus are showing us that in round 1. Hopefully, they can come in, take another couple of rounds. Let's make a game of this.
I will give it down to the, you know, it snowballed out of control very, very quickly. It was a bit cheeky on that early entry. Here, with the things being a bit more structured, we'll get a real flavour for how things are going to play out on the side of Invictus. It's maybe not as quick as you'd like here. About 60 seconds in, and they're only just looking to get in. And they're getting C4'd out. Bolo cheeky as hell from below. Nice C4 coming out, nice and disruptive. Like I always say, get up in teams that like to be structured space early in the round, disrupt them, and watch it fall apart from there. The sledge removed, no frag grenades consumed. Good start for TSM.
Fantastic from Bolo. Exactly what TSM needed, realistically. It was Bolo and Geo that lost their lives last time around. And this time we've got 2 absolute freebies. That's the thing about Nitros. You're not putting yourself at any risk generally. And that is 2 kills for absolutely nothing. Hysterics, it's going to be to go down to Achieve as well. And Luna Metal just gets himself into a little bit of a ring around the roses there. Takes some damage off Achieve, but he just flips the 180, hits him with the turn and burn and takes him down. And that now leaves us 5 versus 2 in favour of TSM. They're just going to bunker down on site at this point.
At this point, why bother doing anything else, right? Like, you've got the 2 or 3 kills that you now need to just make sure that Jordan and Joe are going to suffer in the dying moments of the round as it starts to get towards that final 60 seconds. Worse yet, they've still got 2 C4s on side. It's not like they've gone willy-nilly and just thrown every single C4 at the ceiling to try and catch a kill or 2. They've done it based on information coming out of Bolo, and my God, has it paid dividends. Much more what we expected to see back in the first round. Now, really starting to shine TSM without really making any effort towards, you know, getting kills here. Just a couple of C4s from below is a pretty easy one to go for. They aren't having to exert themselves or get anything fancy on the go here. This is pretty elementary siege.
Jordan opening up some vertical angles there, see if he can get any joy as the drop-in comes in. Joe does manage to find poor Joe Man out on the pantry stairs there. He knows there's one behind the bomb chassis. He does go for the challenge, and what a challenge it is.
No.
That's a triple 2v2. All of a sudden, we're in a slightly different situation. Jordan needs to make himself useful here. I think he's still upstairs, which is not going to be ideal for Joe. 12 seconds. No, Jordan does look to push in downstairs. He's got himself onto site, but they're both low health now. Unlikely likely that they turn this around. Geo finds the double and closes things down for TSM, but another scare there for them.
A little bit nervy there when you find someone running into sight and picking up 3 kills like that. That really should not be happening. Sure, sometimes players just hit their shots. That stuff kind of happens. However, TSM with the composure to still close the round out. 1-on-1 then. Seen 2 very different rounds so far. And like you said, I think you won't see TSM being caught off guard anymore. The Pulse absolutely helping out with that. And now the Valkyrie is going to return to the field once again. Achieve picking that one up. As Aviator Game is going to be a repeated sight, the same that we saw in round number 1.
And I am certain that TSM are going to be looking for it to go differently. They're not going to allow Geo to be getting caught out as he was, and Bolo along with him. They're going to be very well aware of the potential for a quick rush in from Speakeasy or from Invictus. I don't think it's something that Invictus will try, in all honesty. They will slow things down a little bit more, but what that round has maybe taught them versus round 2 is that they're going to have to bring the unexpected. They're going to have to do things that are unpredictable, because otherwise they're just not going to get the jump on this TSM side. And in a fair fight like that, where it's just 2 lines of drone and they're going head to head with each other, that's where they're going to lose the rounds.
Okie dokie, let's see how things play out with the Cerex picking up the Nook. Always exciting when I see that op picked, and I'm not just saying that, oh, because she's a bit different. It's more because on this map, I've seen a number of players pick the Nook and just go crouch walking through basement. They'll pop up a stairway randomly at some point in the round. They can kill 2 or 3 people, of course, has the frags on side as well. You have to keep a close eye on Asterix here, because I doubt they anticipate this coming. Depending on where he starts and the damage that he does, could be really exciting, and I think there they may have just seen him on camera. They'll know to be watching out for this too.
Just going to send his drone in ahead for the time being. Speakeasy directly up there, looking to apply some pressure in towards the bathroom for the time being, but certainly slower this time from Invictus. Achieve does catch Asterix as he steps inside, though. That's going to be a good advantage, and that is the knock gone without much impact at all. Bolo just going to hold his position as the Volcan shield is taken out, and then decides it's time to drop away. Achieved once again, Des. That's the 3rd Nitro kill inside 2 rounds for TSM.
I mean, it's the thing is, it's Achieved doing it as well. Got the entry kill onto Hysterics on the Nook as he came in through a window to the west, moved out to the east and got a C4 kill onto Speakeasy. They just keep on getting caught by these Nitros. You cannot afford to be losing these free kills on the side of TSM, because yet again, you're finding yourself in a 5 versus 3.
Right now, Invictus just trying to find any angle they can, and this is something they did well in round 2. They were patient. Joe dropped and managed to get himself a couple of kills, and then all of a sudden, you find yourself in a round that you could potentially turn over and put on the scoreboard. So that is exactly what Invictus are doing again here. They've got plenty of time left on the clock, so they're just playing it patiently, getting the drones in and looking to see if they can find any opportunity for cheap kills just to start leveling that man count out a little bit, because that is going to be vital. The problem, though, could be that man downstairs for TSM. If not dealt with, there's going to be a big flank player coming in from Achieved potentially here. He's already had an impact from below. He's going to look to have another one here. I'm not sure they're aware. Jordan is not quite sure exactly where this man is, I don't think. He's going to look to get back up towards Study now, so there's not going to be any pressure coming in to Achieved, and it could be really, really dangerous in this round.
Not going to worry about this man hanging around the south stairs at this point. I mean, did that just bounce off the ceiling? Yeah, it did, and he concussed himself. Fantastic. Not really the play that you wanted to be making here, but at this point, Joe concussed, drunkenly stumbling his way up main stairs, focus on the shield. Realizes there's no man there, finds one, almost gets a second, but Pojo with the pistol puts him in the dirt. TSM with another pretty convincing round. IG, despite that first round flourish, have found nothing in round 2 and 3.
Nope, TSM are looking pretty solid here on Villa so far against Invictus. You know, as we already said, they put in a good performance against Team Liquid. It was just, you know, you're going up against Nesk and Palu, and when they turn it on in the second half, it can be a bit of a problem for anybody, let alone a team that's had to make some last-minute changes to the roster like TSM have. But they're looking pretty comfortable here against Invictus. They're going to head to Trophy and Statuary. It's the first time we will see them defending this site. They've defended Aviator Games twice now, winning it once, which will move them on to the second top floor site. But Invictus, it feels at the minute, off the last couple of rounds, like that first round that they picked up, I'm not going to say that it was lucky, it was judgment. It was a good call to move in so quickly and get those 2 kills, but it's also a one-off, realistically.
Yeah, I mean, for example, you're not going to see Speakeasy charging his way into Astro and killing 2 people this round, given Charles now setting up in here on the smoke with some ADSs in support, the shield, so on. It's all just kind of going to stop them being caught out in those once-in-a-lifetime sort of runs that come through from Speakeasy, where there was a tiny little hole in the network of TSM's information that really comes back to bite them. This one should be another one that I think should go pretty convincingly. You're going to see them setting up on the south side here, so looking to extend down towards Study and contesting Invictus on their pushing from the south side. Invictus made us completely ignore the south side, though, and look towards the master bedroom take. I guess we'll see.
They could do, just go a little bit more route 1, direct onto site, don't play into the roamers, but it doesn't look like that will be the case. As Hysterics on the Iana is heading straight towards that balcony and potentially the study window. So I'm going to be droning in for the time being, looking for anybody underneath. He's trying to help Speakeasy get into the map on the sledge, trying to track down those roamers. They're obviously recognising the problems that they've had with Achieved, particularly playing underneath. He's had 2 Nitro kills in 2 rounds. That's 100% record across the utility use there, so they need to avoid that happening. They can't keep giving up those free kills like that.
And I was going to say, normally the Iana is the one that you can trust to go off by itself. It's something that we've seen BDS do an awful lot in EUL as well, where they'll have the Iana player off on the other side of the map while the rest of the team are getting set up for an execute somewhere else. Because they can join themselves in. They've got the Gon 6, they've got frag grenades, the RX, a decent gun, and of course the Gemini clone. At the same time, that helps with a bit more information gathering. So I thought we might see Hysterics go south by himself whilst the rest of the team focused on the north. And whilst we have got some doing that, it's not all of them. It's only really a couple. I think you'll find them kind of converging out towards the master side of the map right now. And Joe playing underneath here. 1, to stop C-Force, but 2, to try and get rid of these Electro Claws.
And he will be successful in doing so with at least one of them. Can't find if there is another, but that should be sufficient at least to allow the wall to be opened. Achieved still operating underneath. Takes out a drone. He's just going to look to fire through the soft wall, very close to connecting with the man there, but just going to hold his angle. And these roamers are just proving an absolute nightmare for Invictus at the minute. They're just not able. They're playing around them and they're getting done what they need to do. You know, that much is fair, but they're not ever dealing with them, and that is a big problem. We are yet to see one of them have a big impact on the flank, but if they keep getting ignored, it's honestly just a matter of time until that happens.
Indeed, this is one of the more peaceful rounds as well. 60 seconds remaining and no one's dead. All the other opening kills have come inside the first 60 seconds of the round. Quite fluid and quite rapid in the prior ones. This one a little bit slower. Speakeasy, the one looking to push him potentially solo from the south side. It's almost like they're still nervous that someone might be hanging around here. With the way that Speakeasy's checking all of his corners, they almost feel non-confident, like they're worried someone may have slipped up below them. And rightly so, to be fair, because Pojo is the one currently hanging around on the south side. Takes a little bit of a tag, goes for the swing, but Speakeasy swings at the perfect time. Pojo goes down.
Manages to put him down and get an advantage as Jordan doubles down on it, finding a kill onto Geo. But with 25 seconds left to go, the clock could become a big factor. 3 rounds, 3 nitros, 3 kills for Achieved as he manages to take down Speakeasy. Jordan's putting the diffuser down though. Important part of this round. Charla taken down. Surely an Invictus round here. They can level things up 4-1. And there it is. The kill comes in from Hysterics onto Achieved. Invictus level things up and keep fighting. Come on, this is what we want to see. Let's make a game of it. Those last couple of rounds had me a little bit worried that TSM were just winning them a little bit too easily, but not there. Invictus just dominating and playing very well.
They've done the hard yards, and I don't want to simplify it down to, oh, you got 2 attacking rounds on Villa, therefore you've done great. But they've given themselves the padding that I think they needed, given how dominant TSM have looked in the early round with the C4 kills, for example, the positioning, and IG have had no way to challenge it. I honestly thought that we might just see TSM run away with all 5, if not all 6 defensive rounds, if that's the style of play that we're going off of. But it feels like when Invictus find 1 or 2 opening kills and the kind of shape of TSM breaks, that's when they really capitalize and just breeze their way through the rest of the members. So TSM needs to be wary. That, you know, Pojo being isolated, I want to call him Polo. Pojo being isolated by himself in a 1 versus 2, not really ideal that late into the round.
Absolutely not, and I think you know, the point that you touch on there is important as well. TSM are on the defense here, and if Invictus can find themselves another round in the next 2 rounds, in the next round 5 and 6, if they can get themselves a 3-3 split and get onto the defense, that's going to be a big moment for them, and they might just be buoyed by that, feel some additional confidence coming into that defense, feeling like we might be able to just get this done here and get it over the line and really stretch TSM. So it's very important over the next couple of rounds that this defense holds fast.
He's not going for it. Oh my god, he actually is going for a run out the madman. What's he doing? I was going to say, maybe in the old day that would have worked, but with the reduced detection time on the outside, now a little bit less so. I thought we might see one of the real old school C4s into spawn, but no.
You always love to see it because it's just one of those, it's just a really wild play, and occasionally it comes off. Right now, I'd say it's Achieved should be throwing nitros left, right, and centre. He can't seem to miss with them at the minute. He's been successful in the last 3 rounds with 3 nitros, so it's been something to watch. Now, out comes the nade from Speakeasy, but it's Hysterics that's going to find the opening kill onto Pojo, man, taking down the Mozzie. And this is Invictus dealing with that roam game a little bit better, a little bit quicker. 50 seconds in, they've got themselves a kill, and they've got themselves some space, more importantly.
This is where I was slightly nervous about Pojo potentially taking over the role away from Geo, although at least here it feels a little bit different because Geo is playing off on the Vigilance. Sure enough, being rewarded for such a pick, freebie onto Hysterics, and now needs to make himself lost in the halls of Villa. Disappear on that Vigil away from any drones, from any would-be pursuers. Interesting C4 from Achieve coming out here as well, looking onto the downstairs. I think they were expecting someone to come rotating below, and he would be right, as someone has just dropped left next to him, but not quite enough that he'll be able to find them just yet.
I think he knows that there's somebody knocking about. It's actually Joe who's going to move externally onto the rappel now. Achieve just fighting with the drone inside a bathroom there, looking to try and push forward and just get aggressive on that roam game. Again, not wanting to get pinned down, wanting to keep himself unpredictable. He's at the bottom of Astro stairs and sort of playing it on a semi-roam at the minute, not wanting to go too far from side, doesn't want to leave TSM short-handed should the pressure start mounting, and also doesn't want to throw his life away here. It's about time, it's about making the attackers uncomfortable, but Speakeasy, he's slightly low health, but he's got himself above, he's doing his job. Sledgehammer is out, opening up vertical angles, just needs to be careful that he doesn't give anybody a peek of himself, because if he does, it's only going to take 1 bullet for him to lose his life here.
That's the danger, right? There's a fairly good chance that they see his legs before he ever sees them. And like you say, 1 bullet would probably be enough to finish him off. Geo, second in the round. This time, finding out Jordan. Oh no, the bouncing frag grenades that bounce off these floorboards doesn't go through the way that he'd like, and almost finds himself losing his life, but not quite to be the case. Yellow ping comes through to know where the man is. Can he just spray him? Oh, Joe's beat him there. It was a race to the yellow ping. Unfortunately, he loses out this time.
Just above another one, but I don't think they're aware of the position. Look at the aggression from Geo. That's 3 on the round, and the ace is still possible here. Joe's pushing down. Achieved. He's going to find the man. Does he know? He's going to dip away. He just has to try and change his angle up, and the aggression is there. Charla Achieved. Both of them getting themselves a kill. Finish things off, but what a round from Geo there. 3k inside of round 5, and that's going to be TSM looking pretty comfortable again on the defense there.
Yeah, the man was all over IG like a rash there as well. Started off on the south side around Study to find the entry onto Hysterics. Rotated himself up and around seemingly everywhere on the map to find those 3. As the man we were speaking about prior as well, saying about the role change coming in with Pojo stepping into this more flex style role. We were concerned that Geo's then becoming more of a supportive player. Well, at least here, he's being given the chance to spread his wings a little bit and step off site, with Charla being the one who's tasked and with holding things down. Aviator game is going to be where their last defense heads to then. Again, for Invictus, I think you won't be too upset about the 2 rounds they've got on the board. So for TSM, you're looking to make sure things secure out here and don't get any worse, because truthfully, 3-3 at the half, TSM would be kicking themselves.
Oh, absolutely. It's a missed opportunity if they go into the half at 3-3. I mean, AVG, they've had 2 rounds defensively there. 1-1, lost 1, but you've got to remember that loss was round 1. It was down to the Speakeasy rush where he got a couple of quick kills onto Geo and Bolo and really gave Invictus a massive start in the game. As we said, in round 3 when they came back to AVG, it's not the sort of thing you're going to get away with again, and TSM were able to very comfortably lock it down. That's something that I'd say has been a characteristic of this game so far. Even the rounds that Invictus have won. Did Geo see that? Did he see the drone? He did. I'm sure that I just saw a drone drop out of that table. So far, a characteristic of the game has very much been for me that whoever wins the round has won it pretty dominantly. It's not really sort of coming down to fine margins at the end of things massively. The majority of these rounds have been won pretty comfortably by whoever has taken.
Alrighty, well, another one of these rounds where at least nothing massively explosive in the first 30 seconds or so. I'm keen to see in this round as well. We know where TSM have really kind of flourished is in that early disruption, but where Invictus have got aggressive or been left to their own devices, that's where they've really stung TSM. And this site with the roams up towards the top side is where they've been hurt the most. That is a great spray coming out from Bolo onto the window. Luna losing his life on Wolf. And if you watched the game earlier on today when TSM played on this exact map, you'll be noticing similar things starting to form again. Bolo, when they're defending on the south side, will always start up inside of Trophy and then move, inside of Statuary, and then move his way back down to site, normally via 90, on a kind of retreat path as the other team start to converge and collapse in onto him. It's kind of the go-to tried and tested TSM setup. That's why Luna was at the Wolf window to contest him on the retreat, but simply didn't win the gunfight.
I was just feeling that Bolo had maybe been a little bit quiet so far during this game as we're rounding out the first half for them, but then a shot he found on the man just fading away around the corner and hit every single one of those bullets that he needed to. Now, 5 versus 4, halfway through the round. Invictus just looking to relocate, just looking to get themselves aggressed onto that 90 corridor, just trying to take some map control, trying to get something going. Right now, they don't really have too much control. Speakeasy's moved in, he's got the support of Jordan, and that's given them what they wanted. They can now look at getting the vault wall open. In comes a nade, it'll clear off the utility, there goes the Selma, and that's going to force Geo out of that location. So this is better now from Invictus. They've got the map control, and as soon as they have, things start happening. They're starting to push towards that maps door on the north side as well. We can see that because Charla has started using the toxic babes just to keep them at bay. Chip damage coming into Geo. This is better for Invictus. They need to stay patient here. They don't want to throw any lives away at this point.
Please be careful as well, because the fact they've opened up that vault does mean that TSM could be the ones to go aggressive for it, or through it, sorry. In this case, not to be the case. Someone's kind of blindly step out there and pray that you don't get stepped down. You'd rather just not take it in the first place. And even with it open, it feels like IG is saying, you know what? No. A much more normal attack forcing our way through Aviator door seems like the better play here. 25 seconds with 9 players left alive. This is going to be a bloodbath, Ace.
Bojo getting aggressive onto the study door there. Does a lot of damage to Hysterics. He needs to be able to challenge onto maps, potentially, though, if they try to push in and get the diffuser down, which with 12 seconds left to do, they are going to have to. Geo finds a kill onto Joe, but it's Jordan looking to get the plant. Continues, but has to come off there. Pojo with a big fight and a big win. Bolo with the nitro. We're seeing a lot of explosive kills from TSM here, and that is another one to close out the round. 4-2 on the half, and a good defensive showing.
Not bad at all. Won't be minding that one too much. TSM got a bit chaotic towards the back end of it. Invictus not looking too bad in their setup for the attack either. Now they get to do the switch. We move over, and it's IG going on to the defense. This is where you're really going to see the make or break for TSM, because the kind of measuring stick for a lot of teams these days is their capability on the attack. On defense, you're kind of reacting to what the attackers are doing. On the attack, you have to be the ones that are being proactive and calling out what needs to happen and doing so in a good amount of time. So I'm keen to see how TSM shape up compared to, say, Invictus. I am keeping my eye on that Flores. I keep on speaking about it all the time. So effective at destroying utility seemingly for free. The shield that will no doubt get placed inside of Aviator will be a free kill. The 2 Evil Eyes should be removed quite comfortably. Lots of things really shouldn't be lasting very long is what I'm referring to in this round.
Very important round here. The scoreline, first and foremost, 4-2, 5-2 would be a big step for TSM, but it's also about that successful first attack. Invictus really need to lock this down. It helps them feel like they're still in touch. There's only 1 round difference. They can then think, right, we've got the advantage now. We're on the defense, and we're going to start putting some rounds together now. Speakeasy just setting up quite late into the round there inside of Trophy Statuary. He's going to blast that open, just as we've seen Bolo do, to allow him to challenge into Closet, and it looks like he is going to have some work to do here because TSM are mounting up immediately for a north-sided take. They need to be careful because they are going to be playing in to the Jaeger, and I believe Hysterics on the Aruni was over that side as well, potentially helping out.
Let's not forget as well, this is the south side attack, so TSM are starting up here on the top side, but have got to work their way down. And in much the same way we saw from TSM on their defense, where Bolo normally will start inside a Statuary and work his way down, you've got some challenge coming from IG and Hysterics. How has he not been droned here as well? Astro Stairs is like the first place you send a drone down if you want to work on the top side of the map, but seemingly completely ignored. And now they've got to worry, okay, where is Hysterics? Where's he waiting for us? Is he going to come and get us again? That's really where you look towards Charla and be saying, right, Nomad Air Job's down at the top of Astro Stairs. That is number 1.
Big mistake from TSM there. I did see the presence of Hysterics down at the bottom of Astro Stairs, and I wondered if they knew that he was there. I assumed with the confidence that they were moving into Astro that they had an angle onto it and they were locking it down, but absolutely not, and perfectly taken advantage of by Hysterics there. Just absolutely perfectly timed. Polo, however, will find Speakeasy at the top of red, and that levels things up 4 versus 4. So this is better from TSM. They've not been... Does he see the man? He does. There's going to be shots going on to Luna Metal there. He has to move himself away, gets himself back into sight. TSM now have control over 90 corridor. They can think about opening the vault up, which they will do. They're going to need a nade or a Rotero potentially to do it. They're going to lose the first set of X-Kairos pellets as an impact nade comes up over the top from Luna Metal. Bolo's going to go in. He's just going to anchor that drone. No, he's going to send it straight through, actually. I'm not sure what he's going for. He's looking for the utility behind the vault, potentially the mute jammer that we can see just inside that Aruni gate, but Joe in a last ditch attempt will manage to shoot the Rotero out.
Absolutely, and here we go. Pojo now finding one onto Hysterics, who tried to come up red stairs. They've dealt with that Roman that was a little bit pesky for them earlier on. 4 versus 3 for TSM. 40 seconds to play is a lot of time to make this still work. I think they got rid of the Evil Eye there down inside a study from the Gone 6 that came from Pojo. And here comes the burst in. 1 coming in for Bolo. 2 remaining. Geo finds 1. Pojo another. Nice, comfortable round for TSM. One thing I do want to touch on is the cute little bit of team play at the top of Red Stairs landing. When they had the Jaeger sat just kind of in the entryway coming inside a statuary, what they did was have the Iana send in her Gemini, have it run down through statuary, see the Jaeger shot it and knew he had to move because otherwise the enemy team knows where you are. You sat stationary, they call out where you are, you die. He was forced to retreat back towards site, but Bolo had the cross angle from Wolf window. Free kill. Just goes to show how Iana is so impactful, even without directly having, a hyper aggressive gadget that can get kills, for example. Just the sheer fact of seeing someone that makes them move can be enough to help your team secure a kill. Really good play coming out of TSM.
TSM moving themselves into a seriously strong position now, 5-2 on the scoreboard. First attacking round has gone in their favour as well. We're going to be heading downstairs this time. Invictus deciding to mix things up, taking us down to dining and kitchen, but need to keep some good top floor control. We've got Achieved on the sledge. We know he's going to go in there and look to open things up. Not only is there the sledge, but there's 4 nades on the side of TSM as well. Pojo Man and Achieve, they're going to work around that top floor and they're just going to drop those explosives through those floorboards and try to disrupt the defenders inside a site. So Luna Metal, he's setting up there initially on the top floor. Speakeasy is with him as well. It's going to be important that these men hold down this position. The fact that a mute jammer's going down is telling us that they are likely to try and hold on specifically to statuary and to trophy. They're going to try and just basically stop that push coming across from the master side. We've got Hysterics supporting it from the south side as well. So Invictus, they've certainly set themselves up to try and keep hold of things. The question is now, can they find the kills that they will need to do so?
Yeah, this just screams such a irritating comp to play against. Is the only way I can really describe it as well. With the cat can traps, as I always like to say, you see one, there are 4 others around the map that can really sting you in the late rounds, so you're constantly checking every single doorway. And we saw Fultz crouch walk into one earlier, in fact, which definitely slowed down SSG at points in their game earlier on today. Keep a close eye on TSM and see what they can do with it, whether or not they can adapt to the disruptive play coming out of Invictus, but it does feel like at every turn, given the operators on side, you're just dying to be ambushed.
Opening kill does feel like it is not too far away. Joe's starting to feel a little bit of mounting pressure there. He's got a man on the rappel on the Astro window. Achieved is pushing in as well. He's just aware of one playing underneath, which could be a crucial position to stop him challenging onto Joe. He's just trying to find him. He needs to be careful here because he's just playing a bit of a dangerous game where he's exposing himself, and Joe manages to find the kill. Luna Metal goes in with a big double, and this is going well for Invictus. It is now 5 versus 1, all up to Geo. He is going to take stock, manages to find the head of Hysterics. Can he get the man inside a bathroom? No. Dips down Astro Stairs, keeps himself fighting later into the round, and Geo right now, he's all at sea. He finds himself completely alone inside a master bedroom, has no choice but to go direct towards site, but the bullets are ringing in. They know that he's pushing from the laundry. There's very little that Geo's going to be able to do here.
The nice thing is he has got time to play with here, and sees one playing on the south side too. Does he try and chase him? Oh, goes for the shot, but Luna lands a few more back in response. Geo's down to 5 HP. 1 bullet or even just whistling on him at this point might see him falling over. That's the way it's starting to shape up. One laying down though sees the man, but Speakeasy connects to shots before Geo can do anything. Invictus bringing us up to 5 and 3.
I'm loving the spirit that Invictus are showing us here. TSM keep coming in and taking a dominant round here and there, and you just feel like they've broken the seal at that point and they're likely to push forward and take the result. But Invictus are having absolutely none of it, and they just keep fighting back time after time, and that's why these rounds are going back and forward, and they are picking them up. 5-3 now on the scoreboard. TSM's momentum broken. They had 3 rounds in a row there from 5 to 7, but they weren't able to continue the run and get themselves onto match point yet. If Invictus can take the round here back up in AVG, that puts them only 1 round short of TSM, and it'll be a big blow to TSM because they'll feel like they should be a lot further out in front, if not already celebrating a victory at that point.
I agree, yeah, and again, we've got to think about the story this plays into the rest of this group as well if things carry on this way. We thought it was quite a clear-cut affair. You know, would you argue TSM have been super solid so far today? To some level, maybe? The 7-4 were Liquid earlier on. Of course, they walked away the losers. I've found them falling down to the bottom of the table. If things look shaky against Invictus and even in the worst case lose a game or find themselves going to overtime, that could really impact things. It essentially then becomes a showdown between Empire and TSM. And that's a battle that I'm ready for. I think that was the expectation, was that Liquid walk away the winner, and then it was Empire and TSM fighting over that second place. But if Invictus carry on, there's a chance they might find themselves with a couple of games at the end of the group stage that could put them in a spot to challenge for it.
Well, as you say, it becomes very fascinating then, because Empire we saw not have the best performance against Team Liquid either, and again, the yardstick is then going to be how they shape up against Invictus. The good thing about these back-to-back games is it gives us an opportunity to directly compare and say, right, this is how TSM looked against Invictus in the rounds they won, the rounds they lost. That's where the mistakes were, and we can compare that when Empire play and say, you know, Empire are actually doing that better or worse than TSM, and it might just give us a little bit of a sneak peek idea as to what might happen between those two, which could be the decider, as you say, for that second place behind Liquid, which is at this point in time what it's looking likely to be. That could change yet. There's nothing that's sort of predetermined in that sense, but Liquid, certainly from what we've seen, are looking the best of the teams in Group D.
Oh, this is big from Jordan. What a swing as well. TSM going for the same play that works so well for them against Liquid, where they come bursting up the stairs, a grenade to threaten the player, 2 players force their way up for a gunfight. You normally can't respond to that, but rather than sitting passively, Jordan swings out across the stairs and goes for the challenge. Dodges the nade, takes the firefight onto the 2 players. That is really good high-level intuition. Swings for another, will finally lose his life, but the damage is done. He's found 2 kills, Ace. Beautiful.
Oh, he's got everything that he needs out of that position, and it's been beautifully played. Geo finds a kill onto Speakeasy. Charles still active underneath, so don't write TSM off yet. 2 versus 3. They've got the diffuser in hand. They can push towards site, but it's certainly not going to be easy, and it's going to be a lot less so now that Joe finds the kill onto Geo. It's all up to Charlo. 1 versus 3. Diffuser down on the ground. He can make a grab for it as he goes in, but right now his focus is on the challengers and where they might come from. 55 seconds. He's got plenty of time to do this, but most importantly, he needs to start finding some kills first and foremost before he can even think about having an opportunity to put a diffuser down. It's going to have to be 1 versus 1 at the absolute worst.
Imagine if we see another NA team starting to fall down here. That would be heartbreaking. We saw SSG losing out to Furia, Dark Zero losing out to NIP in overtime. TSM slowly starting to trickle away some of these rounds to the side of IG. Would not be an ideal first day. The swing coming in, no doubt he's not going to win that one out. Invictus taking round number 9. That's 2 on the bounce.
2 on the bounce, and a big performance starting to come out of Invictus Gaming here. They've got themselves back within 1 round. They're on the defense. They can feel like they've got the momentum on the stronger side of the map now. They're going to be looking towards potentially matching that 4-2 half, but the big question that has to start sitting on the lips is, can they go one better and get a 5-1 half and just win this out? It's a big ask from here on, but interesting site choice there. Rather than going to Trophy Statuary, we're going to see them go to Living Room and Library.
Something they've played before as well, so it's not exactly completely foreign. Imagine if we've seen any watch. Oh, actually, no, I'm thinking of TSM here. Okay, yeah, no, it is interesting. I haven't seen IG play this site, so I haven't watched them play Villa. No idea what they're going to do, but TSM do play this site, so they have an idea, no doubt, of what the more, air quotes, common setups are, how to respond to it. We saw some really spicy ones in EUL last year. I think it was Na'Vi who played it even this year, where they have two players playing inside the vault upstairs and challenging all the long angles to the north. And in fact, with Asterix being up here, you might see that being part of this setup.
You very possibly will. We've got the Banshee just inside of the door into living room there, just looking to slow down any pushers going in. Also, maybe just take an attacker's eye off the ball as they go to shoot it out. Now, interestingly, there we go. So if you're sat at home and you're wondering where are the vertical angles, there's always a lot of verticality played on Villa. Interestingly, basically, you just need to remember the two top floor sides. So if you're in dining and kitchen, it's below trophy and statuary, master bedroom, bathroom, that side of the map. If you're in living room, library, it's basically below aviator and games. A 90 corridor, you just need to use that area of the map. So it pretty much transfers down. So when you're thinking about top floor control, where will TSM want to control? How will they be able to use those vertical angles? They're going to want to do AVG, get control of that, and then start working down from there.
These are the angles I was mentioning earlier from Vault, sorry, as well. A bit late in the setup, but they have got the ones that now look all the way down that red corridor to the left. They've got the ones that look towards the two reinforced walls up to the north. So for TSM, attacking from that direction without vertical control is going to be a royal pain. So really what they're looking for here is control of Vault. Bit of a team kill coming in onto a friendly drone there, but you'll take it because it also gets rid of the evil eye that was in that bottom right corner.
Chief just holding the angle onto study door there. We're a minute in, and we've seen quite a few early kills so far, but not really here in this round. It's likely to be the halfway point, I would suggest, before anybody manages to find themselves an advantage. But Joe, he's trying to do exactly that, getting aggressive with the Alder, just stepping out of the vault and firing out towards study balcony. He knows that people are playing there, and got to be careful because he is in there for a reason. He's got vertical angles to hold down as well, but he can't take his eye completely off the ball because that push will come. But whilst Lunar Metal is here on the main stairs, it does give him some protection. The sledge runs in almost as if completely unaware of Lunar Metal's position, even though he just shot a drone out. So I'm not too sure how well the comms are working.
It's either that or Achieved has just got gonads the size of bowling balls with that kind of movement. Running in, like you say, when that line has just been contested because the drone died there is crazy. Asterix onto Pojo. Must know one's outside of Art. No, he does not. Joe finding a kill onto Achieved, by the way. I'm pretty sure that would have been inside a vault. This is good. 3 versus 3 then coming out for IG as Luna is currently down and bleeding out fast, mind you. Needs the support. And here comes Bolo trying to make sure they've got that vertical control.
It was a great play from Invictus, but TSM not being rocked by it. It was the way that Pojo took his eye off the ball to try and finish that kill with the nade and was taken down by Hysterics. It was just opportune play from Invictus, but they've not really been able to find any dividends from it, and right now they are starting to be pressured inside of sight. Speakeasy is there, but the clock might just come to the rescue with 25 seconds left to go. TSM need to get moving, and as they try to do so, Jordan finds a headshot onto Charla, and that leaves us now 15 seconds. Could Invictus level things up here at 5-0 on the scoreboard? That's the big question. Speakeasy being pressured from multiple angles, sees the drop, can't do anything about it. He has to wheel around, but what a big kill. Finds the headshot onto Gio. Jordan shuts down the last man. Invictus have leveled it up, Des. We've got a game.
Unbelievable. We were saying before this game, this will probably go pretty quick. Like, TSM should be able to sort this, especially stepping into a map like Villa, which they played on earlier, but it's simply not going the way that they would have envisioned. Invictus, 3 rounds on the bounce. You're going to start feeling nervous if you're not just a TSM player, but also a TSM fan here. Those of you in chat, hold on to your seats because this could keep on getting crazier yet.
It really could. Right now, TSM, they're going to take their tactical time out. There is absolutely no surprise there. They know. Look at the spirits inside of the Invictus Gaming camp there. They are shouting, they are revved up, and they are ready to push forward and try and get themselves a win here. The thing is, Des, they'll smell blood in the water, and it starts to become a bit of a different mental game now. TSM are thinking, you know, are these problems maybe, and I'm surmising here, but it sort of feels like you may be thinking, is there some roster issues here? Obviously, we don't have a normal lineup. Is that causing us problems? Is it going to continue to do so? You know, are we going to lose this to Invictus? They've just fought back 3 rounds in a row, and it seems like there's no stopping them at the minute.
Painful. I mean, you can see some intense talking back and forth, at least in the early stages. It seems to have settled back down again now. Boys just talking back and forth about what's not working, what needs to be adapted, because I agree with them. 3 rounds on the row is going to make you feel pretty nervous here, and you acknowledge there's a problem. Something needs to change, something needs to be fixed. What it is really is down to them to have that discussion on the other side. Gig and the boys being a bit funky. 3 rounds on the bounce is one way to get yourself a lot of confidence building up. They look pretty composed, all things considered. Not really much that needs to be said. Luna, that's him down at the front, having a bit of a chat across the team here, just making sure everyone's still in the zone, ready to go again. Nothing really needs to be changed on their side, I don't feel like, either, because these last 3 rounds, as mentioned, have been not super decisive, but I'd say convincing enough that you aren't worried there's any big, massive, glaring errors.
I think if anything's going to have an impact here, if anything's going to make the difference, it's going to be this 30 to 40 seconds away from the game. It's going to be this time just spent sort of sitting back, waiting to get back into it, because Invictus did feel like they were just really riding that wave. It was always right, push again, push again, push again, and just sort of keeping that going and keeping TSM on the back foot. So by having this short break, I think if anybody, it likely does suit TSM, and that'll be why they've called the TAC timeout. And Invictus, I'm sure, will be keen to just get themselves back into this one as quickly as possible, and that's where we're going to go now. We're heading in, and it's going to be dining and kitchen, so Invictus definitely favouring these bottom floor sites.
Alrighty, let's see how it shapes out then. Yep, it's going to be that downstairs, and look at what's being brought along by TSM here. The Ying, I believe that got banned away against them in their game earlier on, so a big reliance, investment, you might say, in the executes coming out with the Ying. That relies on you being able to get to the execution point, though, mind you. So let's see about that early destruction potentially coming out of Invictus on their side. Looking towards that kind of trap-based comp again here. The Mute Mozzie for the Intel Dinar, the Capcans, the Ella Grishmots. Vigil off around the map being problematic too. Lots of stuff to think about here, I think, on the side of TSM that might prevent them ever getting to make good use of that Ying.
Very possibly, but it's always nice to see the adaptation, see if it does have the impact that they will be intending for. Well, he's going to be heading up towards that top floor. It looks like he's going to be supporting the clearance up there. There's a number of roamers that will need to be dealt with from the side of Invictus. He's going to just take a knock out of that window there, just looking towards the entrance into Maps room, where Hysterics will make a challenge out, but he's not going to make too much of a big deal of it. He'll take a couple of shots and then look to drop away. Joe has been doing a fantastic job of wasting time as well. I just want to say I've seen a number of times in these positions just delaying the attackers and taking those challenges, taking those fights, and just his presence just really putting them on the back foot.
Tormenting them a little bit, mate. It's probably the best way to look at it, you know, keeping them guessing, keeping them busy, as we keep on saying. It shows in the lineups, it shows in the gameplay. It's what you want to see. Beaky's the one looking to plan the downstairs. I imagine he knows that there's been a drone that's been now sticking around his feet. Oh, that's C4. No. Man's in the shower. Solid flooring. Can't quite blow that one up, as in Bolo comes singing in towards the left side of the top floor, bringing in a Candela with him on the mix as well. They've only got one Candela left here. Kind of curious to know what the use case was for that one, whether it was to try and flush out the members of Invictus that were trying to cause trouble on the top floor or what. But they've only got one left for the actual execute now.
Big explosion in the bathroom next to Achieved, but it won't take any damage from him, and he's still full health and fighting from above. But those angles do work both ways. Bullets will rain up towards him. Again, he manages to avoid them. It's sort of like he's non-stick in this one. None of the metal being sent in his direction will be able to find him so far. Now, Luna Metal maybe just trying to make something happen here, but it's Chowler ultimately who finds the opener, and that is a big start with a kill onto Hysterics, just shutting down this roam game with 1 minute left to go.
Not bad, yeah. I mean, beginning this late in the round is never going to be a bad thing. Starting to get yourself into a 5 versus 4. That one Candela in Bolo's back pocket. Keeping a close eye on there to see what the use case is. I tell you what, Achieve might have just struck gold. Sees 2, just take a couple of shots himself to put him down to about 80 HP. Got to be so careful. You keep on mentioning about those angles working both ways. They do indeed. And Speakeasy more than happy to challenge up them.
He's going to continue to do so. Luna Metal finds a kill onto Pojo, man. It just feels like a matter of time until Speakeasy gets himself one, but it's Luna Metal getting aggressive on the breach there with a kill onto Achieved, and this is slipping away from TSM no matter how tight they try to grasp it, Des. If anything, the tighter they grip, the quicker it seems to leave them. Now then, Gio manages to work his way in. 1 versus 4. He gets the first of 4. Goes to put the diffuser down, shut down by Jordan with a headshot, and that's going to be Invictus Gaming taking this, and this is getting exciting, Des. This could be another one of those upsets.
I mean, this really throws the group wide open if it goes this way. TSM would be 0-2. I think I was one of the people who predicted they don't make it out of this group. I think I said them finishing 3rd place. But if this carries on, imagine if IG go and beat Empire now and start looking towards like 2nd place, 1st place, whilst it's going to be TSM and Empire fighting it out for 3rd and 4th. That would be the most, not the most ridiculous, but one of those storylines that you look at and just go, no one ever could have predicted that, but it is slowly starting to shape up that way. TSM exchanging the Ying back in for a Flores. They've got one more chance to make this work, Ace, and for Invictus, one more round to get them a win against TSM. Something they would have taken every day of the week if you offered it to them at the start of the tournament.
Absolutely. I mean, I think back to the last big international outing that I remember for this roster, or the majority of it, and it was SI 2020 from memory, Des. You know, the big international stage that we talk about, and it was Giants at the time, and they had a big struggle there. Gig had just moved in as the coach, and they'd not really had too much time to do too much work, I think, and we're certainly seeing a better start to their campaign this time around than we did that time.
All right. Time to do something special, TSM. Bring it out. Show us that championship winning side, and you're the one that came so close at SI 2021. We know, of course, they don't have Merc here. Wasn't allowed to travel to the event, so that's why Pojo had to step in for them. I think at this point, you can't exactly point blame there and say that's been a big problem for them. We had achieved doing wonderful things in the first half. Think about it. After 3 or 4 rounds, he was like 6-1 or something. He's got 1 kill in the last 6 or 7 rounds. Incredibly quiet. We're looking for that player who can step up here in this second half. Gio's been doing a bit of work, but it hasn't been enough to date. We need others to get involved here and bring back that aggression that we saw in the first 4 rounds.
Do they know that Hysterics is waiting in the bathtub? That is the question. I don't think they do. Achieved goes in. He's no idea, Des. Hysterics with the absolute top level of trigger discipline. Just bides his time. There's going to be a big question mark on this one way or another, Des. That's either genius or it's going to be a big mistake. He's either missed his opportunity or he's going to absolutely wipe the floor with TSM here. And I'm worried it might be the former.
Hysterics? Man's having a nap. Chilling. Waiting. And here he goes. Man's on the move. They don't have a clue. He's going to find one. Yes, he will. Connects it for free. Easy peasy onto Charla. That's what you've been looking for. Now they know that it's behind them. There's going to be a bit of a scramble for TSM, saying, oh my God, how on earth have we missed that? Pojo is on a slither of HP. They've got to recover the diffuser, and Hysterics is nervous about being challenged potentially again here. Knows that the air jab went swinging past him in towards Astro, and here we go. Pojo's on to the decoy, gets off it straight away as he knows the man's coming. The challenge comes in. That diffuser's down, by the way, Tim. Let's not forget, they will finally finish him off, but they have lost so much time. 2 minutes have been burnt.
Not just time, but also HP. We've got Bolo down to about 47. Pojo man on about 10 health. He's a breath away from death and needs to make sure that he's not going headlong into any silly challenges. As you say, 45 seconds left is also going to be a problem. We've got Lunametal and Speakeasy still down at the south side, one of whom has the Alder in hand. This is all set up, Des, for Invictus to take this here. 35 seconds left to go. In comes the first kill of the late stage. Joe gets Bolo, and that is going to leave us now 4 versus 3. It's stacked up against TSM here. 28 seconds. Surely they cannot lose their opening 2 games, can they? Pojo man finds the kill onto Joe. 3 versus 3. 20 seconds left to go, and the fight back is on for TSM. Diffuser in hand, but the Toxic Babe canisters are still raining out.
Pojo can't.
Takes a bit of damage. Gio manages to find Speakeasy. I think they might do this, Des. Achieves going in. He's getting that diffuser down. The challengers are coming in. They just need the cover in place, but Luna with a big kill there onto Gio. It's all down to the last man, but he comes off the diffuser, and that is the win for Invictus Gaming that nobody thought was going to come.
Wow. Hysterics, my son. Get you back in the bath. Get yourself back in the bath, even bathe in those NA tears.
Oh, he's cleaned up. He's cleaned up with them, Des.
Wipe your eyes, boys. That is a game to remember. IG beating TSM 7-5 on the same map that TSM played against Liquid earlier on today. Whew. Okay. Unexpected. Suddenly the next game gets even more interesting, Tim. Like, that is mad.
I love to see it. The thing is, you know, we come in and we make predictions, and I love it more than anything when I'm wrong, because that's when it's unexpected. That's when it's entertaining. I don't want to be able to come in here and predict everything that's going to happen through the tournament. I want to be surprised, and I want underdogs like Invictus to come through and deliver those surprises. TSM, you got to feel for them. They look beaten and dejected right now.
Look a little bit broken, understandably, right? 0-2. Imagine if you find yourself going home so early on in the competition. They lose their next couple of games. They could be done and dusted. I'm pretty sure the barrier to entry is to get at least 3 games. And you saw how excited the IG boys were at the end as well. They knew that no one really kind of counted on them to come away with a victory against TSM or against Empire or against Liquid. They had no real expectations from anyone else in the community. Yet to come up with this kind of result, suddenly that group of death that everyone was like, haha, IG are stuck in the group of death. Suddenly it's looking a lot scarier, right, Jackie?
Madness, absolute madness. You can only really sum it up by going, sheesh, because I don't know what else to say. It was outrageous. Invictus, we were sat here thinking, you know, this is going to be rough. This is kind of bad news bears the whole way through, right? First you play TSM, then you play Empire. By the end of it, we were thinking they'd be flattened. Instead, they have stepped up to the plate and they are the ones doing the flattening. They are the hammer right now, and they are really beating home the fact that they want to do some damage in this group, Tim. Just madness.
Everybody thought that Invictus was stuck in this group with TSM, Empire and Liquid. Is it going to be the case that, in fact, Empire, TSM and Liquid are stuck in there with Invictus Gaming? That's got to be the question on your lips right now. They've got another match that they're going to absolutely bounce into against Team Empire. Let's not forget, but for Dan, Empire did very little in their game against Liquid. They really struggled as players individually to get themselves off the mark. If they come out with a similar performance, we joked coming into this, you know, imagine what it would look like if Invictus get both of these victories. I don't know that we're a million miles away from that, and I am here for it. You know, I'm conscious that we come in predicting against teams like Invictus, and, you know, ultimately we have to be honest, and they are underdogs and it is unexpected, but they are also extremely capable. There's a lot of experience on this team, a lot of ability, and plays like that from Hysterics just go to show that it's a misdrawn, it's a problem and a mistake that TSM need to fix. But Hysterics, he bided his time there until the opportunity was right.
Obviously, the scary bit is as well, right? For TSM, it's a rough start. We knew it was going to be a harder tournament for them with the fact that it's not the full 5. Obviously, with changes without Merc, but they looked like they were trying to make it work. Close against Liquid, coming to Invictus, all eyes on them to lock it down. Towards the end, it looked more and more like a blender, and they just get left like pulp. A crazy result for Invictus. I mean, honestly, Des, off the back of that, do you feel like the sheer miraculousness of this win could pump them up enough that we could go on to see a 2-0 for Invictus back-to-back?
I think Empire may be a bit of a stretch. And I take Ace's point, they did start weak earlier on. Dan was the only real player turning up in the first half, but they did warm up into the second half of that game. There will be some lessons learned. It was against Liquid, who are, you know, one of the potential winners of the whole competition here. I don't know. I wouldn't go as far as saying I think IG can do the double and beat Empire as well. Will they give them a show if Empire don't respect them? Absolutely.
Yeah, that will definitely be a big factor to this, because as we can see, right, the skill is there in terms of the gun skill, in terms of the communication.
Oh, yeah.
It was absolutely on point, but that's a lot of what those rounds were won off the back of. Without that clutch factor, without being able to step up in the moment, I don't know if it would have gone the same way. And the issue is obviously how sustainable are those rounds, right? How many times are we going to see them be able to do what they did in that matchup? It'll probably be a very different kettle of fish at the very least, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Hysterics, for example, isn't going to get away with hiding in a bathtub again. That's very unlikely. There's a couple of players there that they pocket strats, you know, they're just something that you can just pull out and it works once, and they've bought themselves a couple of rounds with them, but perfectly. They've done it brilliantly, and it gives them a nice springboard now, if nothing else. Like you said, I think even if Empire get the win, we see probably a match that's on a much more even footing here, now that Invictus have got that win under the belt. You know, I mean, the celebration from the end tells you that they knew how much of a challenge it was going to be against TSM, and they've come away from that absolutely out of this world happy.
Yeah, like no matter what as well, when you look at what's happened here, right, it's kind of like you've got some builders round and they put up a shelf, but they were cowboy builders, and it's all wobbly, it's all skew-iff, all your cups keep falling off. That's the way this group looks, Des. It's just all over the place. It's too hard to predict. The cups are everywhere.
I'll take it, right? This was the group of death coming in that everyone was like, oh, you'd hate to be in that group, and I think for a while that was an exclusive 3-team club in this group of death. Now it feels like a 4-team one because IG have now got themselves in there, thrown that hat in the ring and said, look, we can beat some of these teams. We are going to be the challenger. We are going to cause some upsets. That's what you want to see. Every group needs to be competitive, and now Group D is most definitely up there with arguably the most competitive of the lot.
The group of death has become the deadliest group of them all. Of course, though, there is still more action to go. Invictus, they've only completed one half of their journey. Their next game will take them to the ringer once more. We're facing off versus Russia's finest in Empire. That'll be coming up for our final game of the day. Please come back for that one after the break.